A strange thing happens when people start trying to improve their finances. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. You work more, you save a little, maybe you invest, and after months, sometimes even years, your life looks almost exactly the same. Your apartment is the same. Your bank account doesn't feel dramatically different. Your friends don't notice anything. So the brain quietly asks a dangerous question. Is any of this even working? And that question, more than inflation, recessions, or bad investments, is one of the biggest reasons people abandon long-term wealth building. Because financial progress often feels invisible, not because it isn't happening, but because of how it happens, slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly, until suddenly it isn't. Imagine two people starting their financial journey at age 25. They both decide to invest in a basic index fund. Nothing fancy, no stock picking, no crypto bets, just a simple monthly investment. Let's say $300 a month. Not a life-changing number, but not trivial either. The market historically returns about 7 to 10% annually after inflation. So on paper, the math looks great. But here's where things get psychologically strange. After the first year, that person has invested $3,600. Their account might be worth $3,800, maybe $4,000 on a good year. Which means after 12 months of discipline, patience, and restraint, they've earned about the price of a weekend trip. That's it. 1 year of doing everything right, and the reward barely feels noticeable. The second year isn't much better. Maybe the account grows to around $8,000. The third year, around $13,000. Still good, still progress, but emotionally it feels slow, painfully slow. And this is where many people quietly quit. Not dramatically, they don't make an announcement, they just stop contributing. They skip a few months, then a few more, because the progress doesn't feel proportional to the effort. But here's the hidden mechanism most people underestimate. Compounding is not linear, it's exponential. And exponential systems have a strange property. For a long time, they look like they're barely working. Then suddenly, they look unstoppable. Let's go back to that same investor, still investing $300 a month, still earning around 8% annually. After 10 years, their account might reach roughly $55,000. Not bad, but still not life-changing. Many people reach this point and think, I've been doing this for a decade, and this is it? But then something subtle begins to shift, because the money already invested starts doing more of the work. By year 15, the account might grow to about $105,000. By year 20, roughly $175,000. Now things start to feel different. But the real shift happens later. At year 30, that same simple $300 monthly investment could grow to around $450,000. Not because the person suddenly invested more, not because they discovered some secret strategy, but because the early years, the slow, frustrating, invisible years, finally started compounding. And here's the ironic part. If you graph that growth curve, most of the visible progress happens near the end. The first decade looks almost flat. The second decade starts bending upward. The third decade shoots upward dramatically, which means most people emotionally experience compounding in reverse. They experience all the frustration up front and most of the rewards at the end. This psychological mismatch creates a strange illusion. It makes people believe they're falling behind, when in reality, they're exactly on schedule. Social media makes this even worse. Online, financial success looks instant. Someone flips a house, someone trades options, someone turns $5,000 into $200,000 in crypto. But those stories are statistical outliers, and more importantly, they compress time. You see the outcome, you don't see the years of boring consistency that usually came before it, or the thousands of failures that never became posts. In reality, most wealth in America wasn't built through dramatic financial moves. It was built through long periods of quiet accumulation,
retirement accounts, index funds, company stock plans, decades of contributions that felt insignificant in the moment. There's another layer to this problem. Human brains evolved to respond to immediate feedback. If you exercise today, you feel sore tomorrow. If you work overtime, you see a paycheck next week. Effort leads to visible results, quickly. But investing breaks that pattern. The cause and effect are separated by years, sometimes decades, which makes it incredibly difficult for the brain to stay motivated. It's like planting a tree that won't visibly grow for 10 years. Most people will dig it up long before then, convinced the seed was defective.
And ironically, the most dangerous moment often happens right before things start accelerating, around year 8, year 10, year 12, right when people feel tired of waiting, right when the numbers still look underwhelming. That's when compounding is about to become noticeable. But if contributions stop there, the curve never gets the chance to bend. There's also a quieter truth about financial progress. Lifestyle growth tends to hide it. When income rises, expenses quietly follow. A nicer apartment, a newer car, more subscriptions, more convenience. So even when net worth increases, life feels roughly the same, which creates another illusion. It feels like money is disappearing, but often it's simply being redirected into lifestyle upgrades that quickly become normal. And this is why financial progress often feels invisible. It grows in the background, below the threshold of daily perception, like interest accumulating in a savings account you rarely check, or like a tree that adds rings slowly every year. Individually, each ring looks insignificant, but over time, the structure becomes massive. Zoom out far enough, and the pattern becomes clear. The early years of financial discipline look unrewarding. The middle years look modest. The later years look powerful. But those later years only exist because of the early ones. The invisible decade creates the visible one. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If the most important financial progress happens during the years when it feels like nothing is happening, how many people are actually closer to wealth than they think and quit right before the math was finally about to work in their favor?